check out my intro. To make this intro, it took me a whole day. I had to eat about 4 bananas, 5 avocados, and I had to go in a cold pool to pick up cherry tomatoes. I hope you enjoyed it. And now let's talk about your garden soil and vegetable superfood. So I'm gonna start with calcium, which is my eggshells. And what I do is, a lot of people recommend you bake them or nuke them in the microwave. I don't, because in my opinion that kills a lot of the good stuff in the eggshells. And fortunately I have a weather here that it's sunny a lot of the time, so I just rinse the protein of the eggshells and I let them sit in the sun until they're completely dry. And calcium, plants need calcium, especially tomatoes and peppers, bell peppers, to prevent blossom and rot. However, the calcium in eggshells, it's not available immediately, so you can just gradually add it to your soil and eventually will be available the next season. Or if you have a small compost operation like me, you can add them to your compost. And for those of you who saw my previous video, you saw over there that the eggshells, even when they're in small pieces, they don't decompose because I don't have worms in my compost. So what I do is I collect them and then I crush them into smaller pieces like this. I just crush them down, and these haven't been crushed because these are the eggs that I ate in less than a month, by the way. But I basically just crush them down. And then I put them in my blender. Another superfood I add to my plants or my compost or my soil, it's coffee grounds. And this is about 2 weeks worth of coffee grounds, drinking a lot of coffee too. And coffee grounds, I'm sorry about that. So coffee grounds, usually they're moist after you get them out of the coffee machine, they're moist. And don't store them in a refrigerator because they will start molding. I found this out by storing them in the refrigerator. So just like with the eggshells, I take the coffee grounds out in the sun until they're completely dry, and I don't have to put them in the blender or anything because they're already dust looking. However, there are a few things I want to mention about the coffee grounds. So coffee grounds are very rich in nitrogen. So if you just take coffee grounds, take them to your garden and put them over the soil, what's going to happen is as you water your plants, the coffee grounds are going to start eventually fermenting, which is going to heat up the soil. And especially here in Arizona, we don't need the soil to be any hotter than it is already. So if you're going to add coffee grounds, which again are very rich not only in nitrogen, a lot of things. Coffee grounds: nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, sulfur, copper, sodium, zinc, to be exact. So if you don't compost, although making it in a small scale it's easy, if you don't and you want to add the coffee grounds to your plants, mix it with mulch, otherwise it's going to start fermenting and heating up the soil. Okay. Moving along to the peels, the banana peels and the avocado peels, which I have conveniently right here. So last fall when I started composting in my pots, I discovered that banana peels are hard to decompose since I don't have worms. So what I do, potassium source and many other things, but they weren't decomposing fast enough in my compost. So what I do is I dry the banana peels and then I crush them into small pieces in my blender. This is the dry blender, so if you have blender for smoothies and it's not meant, for example, to ground your coffee, that's not gonna work. It has to be a dry blender. Don't destroy your other blender. And just like with the eggshells, some people choose to bake their banana peels in the oven. I don't, because I think that kills a lot of the nutrients inside the banana peels, and they do not, at least here in Arizona, I can't speak about other places, but they do not attract flies when they're sitting outside. The birds come and grab them every now and then, but they're too heavy for them to take away, so they usually drop them somewhere in the middle of the backyard. And also, when you bake the banana peels, they do lose a lot of their nitrogen, a lot of it. I actually think they lose most of the nitrogen when you bake them. The potassium is still there, which is important, but they lose some of the nitrogen. And actually, banana peels, just like the coffee grounds, if you just put them in the garden, they will start fermenting and or decomposing, and they will start heat up the soil because they are very rich in nitrogen. So it's there is one of the birds. So it's better to just let them dry and then crush them and blend them with the blender. And the reason I started saving my avocado peels, it's because again, as you saw, if you saw the previous video, they did not decompose at all. I mean, as a matter of fact, these are avocado, this particular one, it's an avocado peel that has been sitting in compost for 4 months, and it did not change at all. Nothing happened to it. So, but the reason I started saving my avocado peels is because one of my subscribers, he wrote a comment in the video that the avocado peels actually contain more potassium than the banana peels. And so when they dry out in the sun, just like that, they are very hard and crunchy. So I do the same thing, just like with the banana peels. I crunch them down and I put them in the blender. So I blended everything in the blender, and I added to the compost that I had. I took quite a bit, maybe more than a third, almost half of it out to use in my garden. I put it in a separate container, and I added the coffee grounds, the grounded eggshells, banana peels, and avocado peels. And so another thing I'm going to add is the rock dust, because as I said before, I have a lot of it, and so I'm just gonna add this in here with everything else. And I have some food scraps. Don't blow away. And I have some food scraps from cooking and all that stuff. I cook every day, so I accumulate quite a bit of food scraps. So I'm gonna add those. I keep them in the freezer until I'm ready to add them to my compost. I put those in there to make it even more superfood. Over here I have an apple that is solid frozen, and some salad. Here I have some more organic salad. So I add everything here with the rest of the stuff that I had, and then I cover everything. And one last step, I'm gonna add quite a bit of water, and I'm gonna keep it moist. I'm gonna have to moisten this every day because at this point it's pretty warm here. But you can just store this, and in the fall when you're done with your garden, you can just add it to your raised bed or your containers and just water it every now and then. Or you can add it to your plants immediately. It's just that it's not gonna start working immediately. It's gonna take a little time to break down. And if you have a compost pile where you have worms, you don't even have to worry about any of this stuff. So to recap, eggshells for calcium, and they have other goodies in them too, but it's not available immediately, so it has to break down into the soil. That's why I ground it, so I speed up the process and I add it to my compost. Avocado peels, very rich in potassium. The banana peels, they will heat up the soil, they will start fermenting just like the coffee grounds. So don't just throw coffee grounds or banana peels into your garden, because that's going to heat up the soil and the roots of the plant, because they're going to start decomposing. And mix them with your mulch or wood chips or whatever you use on the top of your garden if you want to use them immediately. I hope this video was helpful. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, put them in the comment section below. And if you're new to this channel, subscribe, please do so. Thank you so much, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.